Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is Alan. With the release of Men in Black International, I thought it'd be a good time as any to take a look at the famous Earth Protection Agency's history. Although they generally take a more peaceful route with aliens, something that we don't agree with here in Generation Tech, the agency still has performed a heroic service by defending our planet for over half a century. Like most fictional alien watchdog groups, the MIB were founded in the 1950s. This would have just been years after the Roswell crash, which was apparently just a Russian glider full of genetically modified humans who were designed to look like aliens, and not actually just David Bowie's space vessel as it's commonly believed. Before the singer went back home, he had stated several times that he was born in 1947, the same year as the Roswell crash. Anyway, in its heyday, the Men in Black were a relatively poorly funded organization and seen as kind of a joke. Just like how our United Nations alien ambassador also seems like a joke, but word on the street is she loves scalping Na'vi warriors, so respect and humanity first. The Men in Black had originally been created as an experimental organization, but everything changed in March 1961. This was when a group of Balshan refugees landed on Earth in Flushing Meadows, New York City. The Balshans are what we consider greys, skinny aliens with long limbs, average height of over 7 feet, and very susceptible to normal firearms. The Balshan had been running away from some galactic threats, and they wanted to establish a neutral zone on Earth for future alien refugees. Several important MIB agents were present during this meeting, including Zed, Agent D, and a man named Kevin Brown. Kevin had gotten lost on his way to visit his wife. He had a bouquet of flowers, which were originally for her, but he ended up giving it to the Balshans as a welcoming gift to Earth. Kevin Brown would then be recruited by the MIB and renamed Agent K. The MIB decided on behalf of all of humanity to accept the Balshans' plan to turn Earth into a place for planetless aliens. Probably not the greatest idea not to consult anyone, but then again, during the political climate during the time, it might have made sense not to bring this information to the rest of the world or even the US government. After all, the Western powers and the Soviets were locked in an increasingly dangerous Cold War. Both sides had thousands of nuclear weapons pointed at each other, ready to destroy the planet. The appearance of aliens, and more importantly their alien technology and weapons, probably would have raised tensions even further, especially because the Balshans had landed in New York and had been contacted by an American government agency. If news had gone out about this, there's no telling what the Soviets would have done. They could have even launched a preemptive strike on America to prevent us from developing alien weapons that would give anti-communist forces a significant advantage. So not only did the MIB not inform the rest of the world, they also separated ties with the US government. They alone took on the burden of having the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe. The Balshans would disguise their ships as a part of the observation towers in the 1964 World Fair exhibition. They helped the MIB set up their organization so that the Earth could begin accepting new aliens. This also included giving the MIB several advanced technologies, including the neuralizer. This was a device that could erase people's memories and was crucial for keeping their organization and the aliens they harbored a secret. The MIB was faced with another massive problem. These alien refugees weren't just coming to stay on Earth temporarily, many of them wanted a permanent home. This meant that the MIB had to train and help disguise aliens such as Michael Jackson and help them adapt to regular human life. The MIB once again correctly surmised that human beings were not ready to live alongside aliens. So the MIB took on the task of monitoring all of the alien refugees living on Earth and making sure they didn't get discovered and cause widespread hysteria. Most aliens that came to Earth became positive and productive members of society. Some even became famous like Gary Busey and Tom Cruise. But every now and then, a criminal or mass murderer would slip through the cracks, and as more and more aliens began arriving on Earth, the MIB started also encountering more problems. For one, the organization lacked space flights, so they oftentimes had to quarantine aliens after they crash-landed on the planet. Other times, the screening process just completely failed, as was the case with Boris the animal. Boris was a troglodyte, a parasitic insectoid species that had superhuman strength and also had a symbiotic relationship with a tiny crab monster which could shoot out very deadly spikes. The troglodytes were incredibly hard to kill and could even survive in vacuum without a breathing apparatus. Boris's race was bent on taking over the Earth and had a huge invasion fleet preparing to arrive on Earth in 2012. But there was one problem. The troglodytes had long ago destroyed a planet named Ark. This is home to a very special species known as the Arcanians. The Arcanians were multidimensional beings that didn't see time in a linear way like we do. This meant that they could see all of the potential branching futures. But with the destruction of their world, there was only one Arcanian left. His name was Griffin. He wanted to give back to his adopted world and gifted Agent K with what's known as an Arc Net Shield. This was a device that could protect the entire planet from a Bogladite invasion. But first, it had to be launched into orbit. As we mentioned before, the MIB did not have spaceflight, so this would be a problem. Luckily, around the same time, the Apollo 11 lunar mission was about to launch as well, and would serve as the perfect vessel for the ArcNet shield. But before Agent K can attach the shield to the Apollo rocket, Boris the animal appears and tries to stop him. This was a really confusing event because of some time travel nonsense that happened. There was another future version of Boris who came back to help himself, along with Agent K's future partner Jay, who had followed future Boris and was here to help Agent K. Ultimately, Agent K and Agent J defeated both Boris the animals, but not before Agent J's father, Colonel James Edwards, takes a spike in the chest while trying to save K. The younger version of Agent J is also at the scene and is neuralized by Agent K. Agent K kept tabs on Agent J and would eventually recruit him to the organization many years later. In 1978, Princess Lorana of Zarthan arrives on Earth. She's being chased by the ruthless shape-shifting Kylothian queen Serleena Zath. Although she looks like a lingerie model, don't be mistaken, her true form was a gigantic tentacle beast that loved eating everything in its path. Definitely not the type of immigrant you want coming to this planet. The princess is trying to protect a special cosmic force known as the Light of Zarthan and keep it out of the hands of Serleena. Agent K and the MIB put the Light of Zarthan on a rocket and launch it into space. This really pisses off Serleena, who arrives shortly after. She ends up killing Lorana, and then she would spend the next few decades searching the cosmos for the Light of Zarthan. Unbeknownst to her, the whole rocket thing was a diversion. The Light of Zarthan was still here on Earth. It was Lorana's daughter, Laura Vasquez, who might or might not have been the daughter of Agent K. After all, Laura was a human Zarthan hybrid. In 1997, Agent K's partner, Agent D, finally decides to retire after almost getting killed on a routine illegal alien immigration call. Shortly after, grown-up Jay, who is now NYPD police officer, is in pursuit of a cephalopoid. Jay was still unaware of the existence of aliens at the time and has no idea he's chasing an alien, despite the fact that it had pulled out a space gun, scaled the outside of the Guggenheim Museum, and had freaky eyelids that closed sideways. The alien ends up throwing himself off the roof, and Jay ends up back at the precinct where none of the other officers believe his story. Agent K, who was looking for a replacement and had been keeping tabs on Jay after his father had died, begins introducing him to the secret world of MIB. Meanwhile, another bug has arrived to the planet. Again, he poses a threat to all of humanity. It crashes in upstate New York on a farm and kills a farmer named Edgar and uses his skin as the disguise. Edgar, the monster alien bug, is in pursuit of something known as the Arcanian Galaxy, an extremely small cosmic body that also happens to be the source of immense subatomic energy. The Arcanians were tiny aliens that used giant human exoskeletons to move around. Jonathan Rosenberg, a member of the Arcanian royal family, is the keeper of the Arcanian Galaxy, and while meeting with a fellow Arcanian is ambushed and killed by Edgar the bug. However, Edgar the bug is unable to find the galaxy on the Arcanian's body. With the death of Gentle, the Arcanians arrive over Earth with a fleet and threaten to destroy the entire planet if the Arcanian galaxy is not retrieved. The MIB does eventually recover the galaxy, but it's not on Orion's belt, as the clues say, but on Orion the Cat's belt. The MIB also kills Edgar the bug, and disaster is averted, and Agent J has completed his first mission. During their final fight with Edgar, Agent K ended up being inside of the giant cockroach, and perhaps while he was inside of that slimy alien monster, he decided that it was now time for him to retire as well. Agent J neuralizes his mentor, and K returns to his wife, who he had left behind in 1961. It's explained that he's been in a coma all this time. But his retirement is short-lived. 5 years later, that shape-shifting monster Serleena was back after being tipped off that the Light of Zarthan had been on Earth the whole entire time. Once the MIB catch wind of Serleena's arrival, Jay is tasked with bringing K back into the fold. Agent K had been the point man for the Light of Zarthan operation, and now he was working at a post office in Massachusetts. Unfortunately, his relationship with his wife had failed. But right when Jay brings his former mentor back to MIB in New York headquarters, Serleena attacks the building and completely disables the entire organization. K and Jay had managed to escape, and they find a back alley neuralizer to restore K's memories. Well, not all of his memories. K still didn't have any idea where the Light of Zarthan was. But luckily, he had left himself a trail of clues in case this ever happened. J and K eventually do find Laura Vasquez, who is the light of Zarthan, and protects her from Serleena. Once again, crisis is averted. In 2012, Agent K disappeared from the timeline after Boris the Animal breaks out of a Luna Max prison and travels back in time and kills Agent K from the past. Agent J figures out what's happening and goes back in time to save K. So there you have it, guys. That is a complete history of the Men in Black organization. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that life is a movie and you are the protagonist.